In 1914, Russia tried to ban vodka. The government thought it would make people more productive, more disciplined, more civilized. Within months, the Russian Empire lost over a billion rubles in a tax revenue. Soldiers were drinking alone. People were drinking varnish. The ban lasted 11 years, and it nearly helped bring down the entire empire. This is the story of Russian vodka, and trust me, it's much weirder than you think. Part 1. Where did vodka even come from? Let's start from the beginning. Vodka appeared in Russia somewhere around the 14th or 15th century. It most likely came from Poland or arrived through Italian merchants trading along the Volga River. Now, here is something that will blow your mind. The word vodka is actually a diminutive of the Russian word voda, which means water. So vodka literally means little water. Youth, little water. For the first 200 years, Russians didn't drink vodka to get drunk. They drank it as a medicine for toothaches, for plague, for basically everything. Got a headache? Vodka. Broken arm? Vodka. Feeling sad? Definitely vodka. Then, in the 16th century, Ivan the Terrible, and yes, that was his actual nickname, created the first royal taverns, state-owned drinking establishments with the government monopoly on the vodka sales. The Russian state had figured something out very early. People will always drink, so why not own the business? Part 2. The government dirtiest secret. This is a part that most people in the West have never heard, and honestly, it's a kind of insane. By the 19th century, vodka was generating up to 40% of all Russian government revenue. Not a small number, not a rounding error. Nearly half the entire national budget came from people buying vodka. Think about that for a second. The Russian Empire, one of the largest empires in human history, was basically running on alcohol taxes. And here is where we get darker. Because the government needed people to keep drinking, they actively encouraged it. They built taverns in the poorest neighborhoods. They offered credit so people could drink even when they had no money. They deliberately didn't serve food in taverns because food slows down drinking. You could say the Russian government was essentially the biggest drug dealer in history, and the drug was vodka. This wasn't an incident, this was policy. Part 3. The prohibition that broke everything. Fast forward to 1914. World War I has just started. Tsar Nicholas II makes a decision. He bans vodka. The logic was simple. Sober soldiers fight better. Sober workers produce more. Russia will become a modern, disciplined nation. What actually happened was something else entirely. The government immediately lost massive amounts of tax revenue, like catastrophic amounts. The treasury was bleeding money. Guys, stop and watch this picture. Meanwhile, Russians didn't stop drinking, they just got creative. People stopped drinking cologne, shoe polish, varnish, anything that contained alcohol. Pharmacies sold out of everything within days. Home distilleries appeared in almost every village. The prohibition lasted until 1925. By that point, the Tsar was gone. The empire had collapsed. There had been a revolution, and the new Soviet government brought vodka back immediately because they needed the money.
Спокойно. Спокойно. Это состояние такое
Нормально.
наркотическое. Нормально считается? Встань.
Part 4. Soviet vodka. Under Stalin, vodka became a tool of control. Keeps the population tired, keeps them distracted, keeps them just comfortable enough not to revolt. Vodka helped with all three. The state vodka brand was called Stolichная, which you probably know as a Stoli. It was sold in every store across the Soviet Union at a fixed government price. Then, in the 1980s, Mikhail Gorbachev tried again, another anti-alcohol campaign. They restricted sales, raised prices, and in one of the most painful decisions in Russian history. They tore out vineyards in Crimea and Georgia. Centuries-old vineyards gone. The result? Same as always. People switched to homemade moonshine called Samagon. The black market exploded, the government lost billions. Many historians actually argue that this campaign helped accelerate the collapse of the Soviet Union. You take away the vodka money, you lose control of the economy, and suddenly everything starts falling apart faster than expected. Part 5. So do Russians actually drink the most? Here is the twist, and Americans are usually surprised by this. Yes, in the 1990s, after the Soviet Union collapsed, alcohol consumption in Russia was generally off the charts. It was a public health disaster. Life expectancy for Russian men dropped dramatically. The country was in chaos, and a lot of people were drinking to cope. But here is what the statistics actually show today. Since the early 2000s, alcohol consumption in Russia has dropped by nearly 50%. Young Russians drink significantly less than their parents did. The government has run serious public health campaigns. Drunk driving laws got much stricter. And the countries that actually drink more than Russia right now: Lithuania, Czech Republic, Germany, France. So the image of Russia as one giant drunk country, it's outdated. And it was always more complicated than that. Vodka didn't create Russia, but for 500 years, vodka and Russia were deeply, sometimes terrifyingly connected. It funded empires, it survived revolutions, it outlasted tsars and commissars and general secretaries. It's not just a drink, it's basically Russian history in a bottle. If you want more stories like this, the real, weird, fascinating history of Russia that nobody talks about in school, subscribe, because we are just getting started. See you in the next one. Thank you for watching.